Hi, I am Don,
And I am Bo.
and this will be our third Xenogears podcast. Third of how many? I don't know.
573.
Probably. This is our second.
Hopefully.
This is our second time using actual notes that I've written up after watching old playthroughs,
And
screenshots.
it's
things
worked
like
really well, the
Yeah.
notes. I will be fighting harder to get my quips in, but I get as lost and Don as you guys do, trust
The
me.
thing is, this game jumps around so much to random bullshit you don't know about.
And so many things don't mean anything until later.
Yeah.
So many things.
It's important to talk about them, even though it's not really narratively
There's
pleasing.
there's almost so much narrative utility in every scene that I'm still trying to figure out what the shower not working meant.
Yeah.
Like, it had to have meant something.
I just made the shit joke. You're
Like-
covered in shit. You can't shower. Thank God we have these little clips. I'm really glad I made the life choices that brought me on a collision course with these little clips to keep my papers bound.
My mother's crazy about them.
I know.
She has a drawer
It's
full
amazing. I steal so many from work. I'll return them.
of them. Damn it! Someone from work is listening.
Look, we can
Click
This is
subscribe.
recycled paper. So when the Xenogears podcast is on the podcast, the paper is going right back into recycling, even though China isn't accepting it anymore probably for good reason. Anyway, assuming they're not all dead from coronavirus by the time this is over. So anyway, last time you got shot down again by Bart again, and Bart got hit on the head with wreckage again. And anyway,
He needs to learn better than to do that.
I'm sensing
And,
patterns.
I mean, how good can his aim be? He's only got one fucking eye.
Well, that's probably why he has one eye. We don't know much about his life beforehand, honestly. We know Sigurd probably took something for him at some point.
Right.
Anyway, meanwhile, while all that was happening, Ramses and Miang are on a Solarian ship, wondering what the hell this gatekeeper tech is they're getting on their monitors, because you shouldn't see too much of that.
I think this is the first mention of the gatekeepers. Isn't
Gatekeeper tech, yes.
Yes.
I have that capitalized because they seem to emphasize it.
Did you underline it?
Yeah. And there's asterisks. There's a Obama and Soros with like threads. How deep does the conspiracy go? Why am I not getting girlfriends? I don't know. Probably Obama.
More likely Soros, really.
Oh, yeah. Soros is in charge of the Department of keeping girlfriends away from you.
The
Whereas Obama lowers your taxes, but actually makes them bigger.
and Obama makes the money off of the anime tariffs
I don't
because you have to watch
understand it
more
either.
anime when you do
Yeah.
have a girlfriend.
I remember
Damn
that.
it! We cracked the code. Damn it! We need. Don't air this one. We'll die if you air this one.
Yeah. This is suicidal ideations. And anyway, that gatekeeper tech, it wasn't from Shavat. So the Solarians know about this Shavat place that the wise man told Faye about last time because his
Yes.
dad is from there. Apparently, they spent 4 years in Shavat together. College.
They, wonder if they still play guitar in the quad. You know,
I hope so.
they
I just like to think that there's always something. That's just one thing that'll always stay the same.
yeah.
Anyway, they fortunately through mathematics they deduce this thing didn't come from Shavat, so it was probably from Kislev. It's a relatively small gatekeeper tech, so it's probably those primitive, low IQ lambs. I mean, this is just FBI crime statistics, guys. It's
Right.
not our fault. We're not racist. Lambs just can't build big gatekeeper tech. It's not any systemic issue relating to long-spanning events, possibly back to the genesis of the Earth itself. No, it's just Kislev. Why aren't they all dead, by the way? Didn't we tell them to die? See, they're not they're lawbreakers.
They're lawless. Lawless.
We passed an ordinance by unanimous vote on a first reading by Robert's Rules of Order. They should be dead and buried. And yet they persist. The purge was not successful, guys. We put our goobers in it. We put those no-name
You know what
people.
the problem was? We put a woman in charge of the goobers.
That's
That's what it is. That's what it is.
And then
All
we
fell
also
apart.
put one of Ramses's crew on it, who is also a girl.
Oh,
Domenia.
yeah.
Domenia over what? I don't know. Over the kitchen, right? Don't say that about Ramses. He gets oddly liberal when you talk about people he actually cares about. He's got a lot of gay friends. So
you know what?
yeah.
The SJW's got to Ram.
Oh, he's fine. He kills a lot of foreigners. He kills foreigners.
Oh, that's
Does
true.
that good.
That's true.
He's our support our troops. Support the troops.
Stands for the flag.
I have gay friends, so I'm not a bigot.
Stand for the flag.
I just don't care if they die. I won't lift a finger to help anyone I don't actually know. That's because Ramses is a bit of a dick, but he will get better eventually.
So the gatekeeper tech, they don't
Gatekeeper tech.
identify it, but they dismiss it.
And-
Probably just one of them Kislev boys.
And this gatekeeper tech, it was in fact the ship that just crashed into the ocean. That again, which you were riding along with Satan,
which
Hammer,
was
Rico.
Kislev's shiny new toy.
Yeah,
So
that they made themselves, big boy pants.
Yep.
And meanwhile, then Ramses and Miang are having this little talk on a Solarian battleship. Graf just manifests in the middle of the bridge. And he starts flipping the light switch upside down for dramatic effect. Power! I'll never return. Power! And he tells Ramses in a very trolly voice, the demon of Elru who caused you so much pain and misery is on his way to Akuvi, in the sense that a kamikaze pilot is on his way to the Pacific. Ramses immediately orders an attack on the remnants of this Kislev ship. Miang, however, says, maybe not. And the Gazelle Ministry is very, very angry. So Graf and Miang go off into a hallway and start discussing proper nouns, shackles, and favors. Doesn't make any sense. I'm sure
but it will
at some
someday.
Point. Just a whole lot of proper nouns. So to give I guess, hey, there's some cardboard. Do you know of the cardboard? Yes, the hammer.
But by the way, I will say this much about Xenogears: it is extremely cryptic all the way up to the end, but the end is there's a lot of surprising clarity.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense than it should.
And so it does.
Cardboard.
It does divorce itself.
The hammer.
The hammer.
He's your bro.
Right.
It was all there.
So it does divorce itself from Ava in that sense, where Ava never makes any sense because it's not supposed to.
Yeah, but it's like going to a mechanic and asking, like, you want it in like baby layman's terms, what's wrong with your car, but he just keeps saying carburetor.
Right, and you don't know what a carburetor is.
Yes, alternator.
Is
Is the alternator wrong? No, carburetor.
Catalytic converter.
Carburetor.
That's another car part.
What? So I need a new carburetor. Carburetor. Nano machine.
The power.
Power favors.
Chains.
Yes, I'm sure you know about this auto shop's ass grass or cash policy.
Ain't nobody ever gotten it for free.
I want power. What do you want out of this car? More power.
Now it's Tim. Oh my God, Graf is Tim Allen.
Yes. I don't think so, Tim.
Now I'm picturing Wiseman as Al Borland.
Why? It works. So Emperor Kane shows up and he tells the
Wilson,
Gazelle.
of course.
Yeah, Wilson, Emperor Kane. He just peeks over his little fence and says,
Feminism isn't so bad, Tim, but it kind of is.
This is the 90s. I'm only willing to go so far.
Right.
And Emperor Kane tells the Gazelle Ministry, who live on their little televisions because they're boomers and they always watch television. He says, hey, the ethos has been holding out on us. They've got the secrets of nanomachines. In the
Kane is telling the Gazelle this.
Yeah, he's saying they've got nanomachines in the ancient sunken city of Zeboim in the Akavi region.
Which is where Faye is heading.
And this is where a lot of proper nouns get thrown about. But you do get the gist of it. Emperor Kane has different priorities from the Gazelle.
Yes.
He says, nanomachines, very important. Gazelle says, we don't need nanomachines.
Nanomachines? I drink from a garden
We
hose.
have clean, beautiful coal. So we don't need nanomachines.
Hit the tally marker, folks.
Don mentioned coal again.
I really want one of our first T-shirts to just say, like, Don hates that coal.
I love coal. I think coal is too valuable to burn. Did you know that you can use coal ash to make statues? Terrible statues. They won't stand test, but they're cool. They have the shiny black sheen, and yet we're just wasting it, throwing it into the atmosphere for no reason. It's not even economical anymore. I don't understand it. You got perfect artistic value here. Anyway. Ellie and Faye, back in the game. They're on a floating piece of that plane. Actually, Ellie is. She just wakes up and she's looking around for Faye. Faye scares her by leaping enthusiastically from below deck and saying, "Hey, you're awake."
I love that there's this huge traumatic moment that just happened, and Faye's
And
just
now
like, "Gosh, Ellie, we get so much time to hang out."
Yeah, now it's like after the first date, and they're actually going steady. And they're really starting to be like, okay, this is what you're in for in this relationship.
Right.
We both need to figure this out.
Ellie, I'm just going to let you know.
I'm going to be jumping up and down quite a bit.
I wake up at 11 a.m., shit with the door open. You're just going to have to deal with it.
That's not too far from the case. So after so he says, okay, I wasn't just jumping up and down for no reason. I was jumping up and down to figure out how much food we have. We've got about 2 days worth. So I'm going to catch some fish, which is surprisingly practical. He doesn't have a shoelace or anything, so he's going to catch fish using kung fu, which is what he knows.
Which is fair. Goku uses his tail.
And to be fair, he's been kicking sand sharks to death for most of the game. I don't see why sea sharks should be any different. Meanwhile, Hammer, Rico, and Seitan have been rescued by Bart on his submarine. And Seitan realizes that Hammer and Rico don't actually know anyone here, so he's doing some introductions. Rico hears pirates, and he's pretty much on board. Hey, that's pretty cool.
Hell yeah, brother!
You know, I was afraid of leaving my hometown because I thought the world wouldn't, have a place for me. But there's pirates running around.
Rico is the redneck of the party. Yeah.
Oh, he is. Yeah. And he really hits it off with Bart. In fact, he's like, yeah, this guy's cool. He's got an eye patch. He's a robber in this day and age. Hell.
Oh, and Bart's jacket is hella cool.
It's true.
Yeah, it's hella cool.
He's got beer and missiles named after him. That's what I want.
Oh, yeah, the Bartweisers?
Yeah, Bartweiser, Bart missiles. Anyway, he's a little bit... this relationship gets off to a little bit of a rocky start when Bart apologizes for shooting them down, which leads to a fade-out shot of Rico jumping into Bart's face. So I guess you can go ahead and tally the large objects landing on Bart to 3 for the game.
It's going to rise, too.
Yeah. Back to Ellie and Faye. Ellie realizes that their gear are intact and floating, but they're under the ship and inaccessible, so they can't get out through them using them. Faye, however, has his priorities on fish. He is very angry at a specific fish that keeps jumping up and down in a GIF image in front of him. And to quote Faye, "It's trying to make me look like a fool."
Hey, you know what? Born to fish, forced to work. You know what I'm saying, brother?
Women want me, fish fear me.
God damn it!
That's so good.
I love it.
I want that hat. I saw that hat in the gas station. I wanted a quarter pounder. I didn't. I made life is full of these little tragedies.
I would have bought it.
Yeah, I would have gone hungry. I didn't need that quarter pounder. I needed that hat.
What gas station was it?
I don't know. Circle S probably.
Okay, I'm going there.
Yeah. But, anyway, Ellie asks Faye if he really wants to eat this fish. Do you really want to catch this fish just to eat it, Faye? And he's like, what? No, I'm going to catch it and teach it to fiddle. Of course I'm going to eat it.
By the way, this is like the best mood we've ever seen Faye in.
Yeah.
Since the night Lahan burned.
He's actually joking around. He's got... it's like a life-threatening situation will often do. Everything else fades away. You just need to survive, and if you don't break down, you rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
So he immediately does finally kick this fish out of the water and onto the deck, and he just goes at it. He's like, okay, I just need to find a way to cook this thing now. And then he looks up, and he sees a UFO again, the same one from the desert, all back in episode 1.
Right.
And Ellie says, hey, that's Shavat, which is convenient. I just heard about that. That's actually very relevant because my dad apparently has some connection to it. And Ellie says, okay, let me fill you in on the exposition. It's a country outside of Solaris's reach. It flies. Bart and Rico are patching things up back on the Yggdrasil. Seitan says that Shavat is out and about, and they probably have something to do with this submarine and a lot of other ancient tech in Ave. So exposition's just getting thrown around like that. Faye is back on the driftwood, and he's coming to terms with Ellie, and he's kind of calmed down a little bit. Like, I've just been drifting, and not just on the ocean. I've just been jumping by circumstance from fight to fight, and I want to have more agency in my life, which is actually really good. It's really cool.
The character development in this game is just amazing. Like, everyone feels like a real person.
And Ellie starts to, try to help him up. Like, hey, look, you've done a lot to help.
You taught me that genocide was bad.
Yeah. And
I had no idea.
You could have just...
Egg on my face.
You've been killing people by the thousands, Faye. You could have just killed me, but you helped me. That's fine. That was agency. And also, Faye got incredibly sick from eating that fish. So shitting with the door open... probably hit a little close to the mark. Ellie, however, realized that he needs calories after losing them all. So she gives Faye an emergency ration, and he doesn't like the emergency ration because it's not there for taste. It's there to give you calories.
Yes.
But it's it's dry.
Calorie Mate from Metal Gear Solid 3.
It's dry, it's crumbly, it looks like a cookie, but it's a lie.
I hate saying it.
So Faye and Ellie, things are looking a little bleak. They're drifting out to sea, but they're picked up by some scavengers on a big ship called the Thames.
Can't wait.
Because I'm not English.
The Thames.
I mean,
wow. I just woo.
The James, the Thames, whatever. Hey, after Brexit, England doesn't matter anymore. I can see whatever I want. We're the lords of English now. What are you gonna do? What are you going to do?
I mean...
You going to appeal to the EU about it? Can't do that.
Is that over? Are they out?
No, they got about a year of
Oh.
paperwork. Hope they enjoy it. Yeah. Hope you... I know all about that. Anyway, they meet the captain. Best character in the game.
Best character in the game.
Best character.
Men
Best character
of the sea. And he's doing dramatic poses on each and every word.
Yes.
Oh, it's
waiting
fantastic.
for the camera to focus so you can see his dialogue.
Cody, I know you're listening, and I know this is your favorite video game character of all time.
He is a peg-legged walrus.
Oh my
smoking a
god!
pipe with a beard.
And what's his name?
I just call him the captain. I don't remember his name.
I don't know that the game identifies as him anything more than
He's
the
the
captain. Captain for Smash.
Captain for Smash.
Captain for Smash.
He explains that he is currently on a contracting job for Ethos. There is a big salvage op on this ocean floor, and he's lending help.
By the way, Ethos, real quick thing about Ethos, the conversation between Kane and Gazelle, it kind of...
Ethos is holding out on us.
So Ethos holding out on them, it kind of implies...
There's a relationship.
Well, that not only that's a relationship, but that even Solaris, this society that views themselves above all things on this world, still answers to some organization in some way. So even if Ethos is contractually subordinate, even if that's the case, which we don't know yet, it still holds some power. Because remember, at the very beginning of the game, we're told that all this tech that gets distributed everywhere,
it's Ethos.
Ethos is doing it. Ethos is ground zero for this tech. So I'm sorry, I just wanted to state that real quick.
So we're about to get into more exposition on them, but yep, basically you're just a guest of the captain. And you know what? There are worse places to be.
Oh, absolutely. They and he really likes you guys.
Yeah,
he really likes you guys.
Pleased as punch to have some guests.
Absolutely.
He's just having a gay old time. Meanwhile, Dominia and another member of the Element Sentai group, all girls, all fiercely devoted to Ramses. They're hanging
They're his
out.
harem.
Yep.
They're his anime harem.
Yeah, he's having his own anime adventure right now. They're hanging out in a submersible gear, ready to strike at the Bart submarine. And Ellie is alarmed. Meanwhile, cut back to Ellie. Faye is eating everything, which is as he is wont to do. If he's in Seitan's house, he eats everything.
He is the main character of a Japanese narrative.
Yeah,
He's hungry.
Yep. And the captain is not perturbed by this at all. Ellie says, Faye, you shouldn't eat so much. You've just had a terrible food poisoning from eating a unidentified fish. And then the captain, men have courage and have appetites because we are men of the sea. I want to do that on a boat in the Ohio River.
I can't, dude.
Oh, we are men of the sea. Right outside. Oh, just cruise along French Island Marina. Like, wave at the people doing drugs along the shore. Men have appetites and habits. Spencer County Tourism Commission signing off.
Is French Island Marina in Spencer?
Yeah, it's right. Oh, Warwick County. Yeah,
It's the border.
It's
yeah.
the border. Yeah, there's no wall.
I
so,
mean,
you
it
know,
might as well
yeah.
be Spencer. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Yeah.
Anyway, Yggdrasil shows up at the Thames, and they're in the middle of a fight with Dominia and her friend. I can't remember her name. There is a reunion of sorts between Faye and Bart, because while Bart is fighting the elements, Faye and Ellie immediately go to help. And the captain's like, hell yeah, sea battle, because men of the sea fight on the sea.
Right.
And giant robots. It's cool. Like, the captain is the one person in this setting who realizes he's in an anime and he's just loving every minute of it. Dude, get in your giant robots and have a big battle on the ocean. There's pirates. They're fighting a giant robot submarine. Get the fuck out there and punch. Men of the sea.
Men of the sea. Because men of the sea have courage and appetites.
So there's a reunion. There's like the whole Faye and Bart, like, you son of a bitch. With the robot.
Well, hey, old Bart, I thought you'd get prettier next time I seen you.
Unfortunately, when you defeat Dominia, they kidnap Ellie by just kind of like taking her by the hand, like, you're coming home, Missy. Oh, God, she got grounded. Oh, that's a bummer.
Damn it.
We just got her in the party. I just bought everything for her gear. Oh, that sucks.
Sucks.
It sucks. I mean, it's like when you buy everything for Sight and he just refuses to show up.
Because he's got to go tell
I've got things.
people that they have to run from fire.
I got fire back. I also have to commune with the spirits and the televisions and the emperors. I'm a busy man, Faye.
Isn't Satan's weapon in the game swords?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You unlock that later in the game, actually.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Because for now, he's just doing Kung Fu like Faye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very strong, very good at it.
Yeah.
Med school. So lacking anything better to do, Faye's like, okay, I just lost Ellie. I'm a little bit perturbed by this, but hell, my friends are back. So, Yggdrasil is just taking some damage in this battle. So, there's this long, drawn-out docking sequence. And like every docking sequence in anything ever, it's an elaborate sex scene. Understated. Dr. Strangelove begins with a romantic song of a plane refueling.
Right.
It's very suggestive. And if you think I am just being pervy here, let me just read you my notes on exactly how the scene plays out. The Yggdrasil's long steel shaft proceeds to slowly couple with the yearning folds of the Thames dock for repairs. And I'm just going to say it. I think this was intentional because Faye and Ellie have just been separated again. Understated and brilliant Xenogears.
It's really big on
the direction in this game is phenomenal.
It's really big on Freudian and Jungian psychology.
Oh God, yeah.
Is it Jung or Jung or
it's German?
It's German. Is it Jung? I don't know. It sounds kind of old to me because he wrote it a long time ago.
Anyway, back to Jaeger bombs.
All right.
Because the captain now has a pirate friend. Do you have...
Hey,
dude.
Everything's coming up, Captain.
Dude, this is the best day of his life.
Oh my God, he's finally living in the fan fiction he's been writing the whole time.
This is like you're 8 years old, Sonic comes to your birthday party and beats up your dad.
No, Shadow shows up. Shadow shows up and beats up your stepdad.
Okay. Did you remember that something awful Photoshop Friday of the Big Dog shirts?
Oh, yes.
My favorite one, the one that I will occasionally remember at midnight mass for Christmas Eve in church and laugh. Suppressed laughter. It's, look, Jeff, you may be my stepdad, but you keep your paws off my manga. Sensible chuckles at church. Okay.
We have fun here.
So
Way
Yeah.
funnier.
Faye and Bart are having fun. They're throwing a few fake punches, but yeah, well, I guess we both messed up that whole Ave recapturing thing. That was what we were trying to do, right? And then, like, they're just glad to see each other. Bart notes that he got creamed by this monster red gear. So this brings Faye's mood down a bit. And Faye also is really worried about Ellie. For good reason, because she's being slapped around by Dominia. Being called a traitor, Miang shows up and she plays good cop. Then she does something a good cop should never do and uses mind control on her. Which is a problem in our society. I mean, technically it's illegal, but you have to enforce the law against the cops, and we don't do that. So the mind control. Yep. And Miang shows up and tells Ramses that Faye is on the Thames, and Ramses predictably changed course now. But Miang actually manages to talk him out of it. She has a better idea. Ellie slips out in her gear. Bart and the captain are telling awesome stories of their adventures and doing synchronized Men of the Sea dances at the bar. Because of course they are. The captain is angry that Ellie shows up because she interrupted their stories. And everyone is a little bit, like, hey, how'd you get LA? Oh, I escaped. Okay, she's totally normal, guys.
Yeah.
Like, she has no emotions. She's just kind of like, yes, escape, fire, bad, water, bad. Bart looks into her eyes and says, yeah, she's probably not a traitor. She doesn't have the eyes of a traitor, guys.
Is Satan Is Satan present? I can't remember.
I don't think so. He's around.
Yeah.
But
he's kind of like Gandalf in The Hobbit.
yeah, Big Joe's here.
That's right.
Yeah, I forgot Big Joe is here. He's on the ship. And he didn't actually swindle you. He, if you go back to that place later, there's like a jukebox with all the game's soundtrack because it's the 90s and YouTube doesn't exist.
Right.
So it's cool. So Big Joe's on the ship for some reason. I can't remember what he does. Ellie goes missing. She turns out she's in the engine room and doing something absent-mindedly on the computer and sabotaging something. Faye catches her as she comes to and realizes where she is and faints. Bart insists that he saw this coming.
Hey, man. I told you.
I knew
Hold
it.
on. I'm going to crack open a Bartweiser here while I'm talking at
I
you.
knew.
Listen, buddy.
I knew she was no good.
I knew she was no good, man. I told you from the get-go.
Now our submarine has problems. Ill-defined problems. Satan shows up and says, she's not a traitor, guys. She was hypnotized. I'm at med school. So wait, so you knew she was hypnotized from the minute you saw her? Oh yeah, it was Ted Ringer. I
love it. I love it.
So why didn't you stop her? Well, that might have been dangerous. So I was going.
You don't wake a sleepwalker.
Yeah,
You don't wake a sleepwalker.
I was going to wait until the proper time. After she destroyed everything.
Because remember, it was not Satan stopping her. Yeah. I stopped her.
Yeah. So, so the Yggdrasil is in a bad state, and it's also now under attack by Ramses and Dominia. Satan insists that he cannot take the party's strongest gear out to help. Because... Actually, I don't have a note on why Satan can't participate.
Because it's
in
bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
So why would you
He refuses. He's busy. He can't. He just can't do it.
It's hot. Can't. It's hot.
My tummy. Med school.
Med school.
Anyway. So
he's got glasses on.
Ramses shows up, points to Faye, and dramatically says, my arch rifle. Faye's, who are you exactly? And he's just annoyed. Like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Because up until this point, Faye doesn't really have a whole lot of direct talking with Ramses. But Ramses, he's like Faye's just like an old face to him. Like he talks to Faye like, "Hey, where's your other gear? Just blue in season." Bart's just having fun, like he's just joshing on Faye, like, "Hey, I think Mr. Popped Collar over here has a hard-on for you there, Faye."
Hey, man, I tell you what, man, if Ellie don't work out, this old boy seems to be real interested. I tell you what, Faye. Dadgum, man.
Unfortunately, Faye makes the crippling decision to enter a cutscene. Because now, after beating the shit out of Ramses punches him once. His cockpit breaks underwater, and there's flooding, and he almost drowns. They get him back to the Thames as Ramses is running away. Remarkably, Faye doesn't wake up in a prison. This is
unprecedented, really.
Honestly, I mean, yeah, you gotta look for the silver lining here. He's on life support. The Thames suggests, okay, we don't have the facilities to treat whatever it is. We don't cutscene injury. He needs something bigger than just a ship medic. And Seitan, I don't really trust him. He might wait until he's dead to try it. So the captain says, you could take him to Athos HQ Memorial because they have the best hospitals on the planet that we know of anyway. And Ellie immediately says, we're going. Like, she is very, very forceful about protecting Faye at this point. And Bart and Margie, despite being ardent supporters of the Nassan sect, are okay with it. They got
Margie's there?
Yeah, Margie is there. I think she was on the Yggdrasil
Oh,
thing.
okay.
And it, just because everything's coming up, just because it's plot convenience, Etoners from Ethos, which sounds a lot like atoners for some reason. They're coming for a special mission to the Thames anyway, so you can just ask them. Okay, that's convenient. The Etoners are coming to cleanse the area of wells and mutants and like zombie creatures that are running around. And a white-haired cowboy named Jesse just kind of shows up.
Is his name Jesse?
I think it's Jesse. Old guy with a big long rifle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be other guys with guns.
Yeah.
Seitan immediately recognizes him. Jesse calls Seitan Hyuga. Okay, that's fine. Jesse has a daughter who is mute because zombies ate her mother in front of her. Okay, that's
fair
he
enough.
also has a son who is apparently he also has a son named Billy, and he is on his way because he's got some pussy ass church business in the area. Jesse does not like the ethos at all. He's like the 13-year-old atheist idea of a cool atheist hanging out in a church just popping one-liners.
Oh yeah, he's very Richard Dawkins.
Yeah. Billy and Jesse have a terse greeting. Billy takes his church business very seriously. This is his career. He is a cowboy with six shooters who fights zombies and mutants for the church. And I might have been more involved in my confirmation process if that was a job.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Billy is kind of accusatory of Jesse. So what are you doing here, bringing my sister? Is this just to? Are you just here to rag on me in public? Are you be that guy? And he's like, I'm just taking her for a Happy Meal on a salvager ship in the middle of the ocean. This is
at the same time that Ethos shows up for a special mission.
A complete coincidence.
Yeah.
And Billy and Margie actually get along really well. They are like, hey, we belong to different religions, but that's okay. I mean, this isn't the RNC. That's fine.
That doesn't seem so fucking hard.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of interested in your religion. Do you also have 6 shooters that are specifically designed to kill mutants, and do you give them to your priests? Because that's why I'm not with you, but I understand. You do you.
Yeah.
And he immediately says, oh, yeah, go to Ethos HQ. It's fine. Just tell him I sent you. And
tell him Billy sent you.
Yeah. And conveniently, the Yggdrasil is now conveniently fixed and ready to head north towards it. So you now have the world map, but you don't have your main character. So
love this game. Yeah. I love it.
So apparently Seitan, when he was flying the airship, the Goliath airship, he was flying it to the ass end of nowhere when it got shot down because you were way far away from Ave. Now you're in a whole new part of the world. There's a huge tower visible that looks like it just shoots off into space. Let's see, where else? There's also an orphanage you can visit. Billy mentioned being in charge of it. And Billy gets Faye admitted into Ethos Hospital. The church members all praise Billy. He's a good kid. But his father's an infidel, a scoundrel, a gambler, and a cheating bastard. And the party learns that Wells used to be humans before mutating. Turns out Jesse hates Ethos. If that wasn't already.
Right.
Yeah. one thing we kind of forgot to address: Choo Choo. There's a part very early in the game where Bart and Faye meet each other, and they try to get to a part of the Yggdrasil when it was still a sand cruiser, and it's blocked off by Choo Choo. They assume it's a Furby, a toy from Margie.
Yes.
And then it comes alive. It's lukewarm, and it has a crush on Faye.
Yes.
Choo Choo, in this instance, who is still with the party, insists that they allow the party to attempt a maiden's kiss to wake Faye from his coma. They do not allow this, although Bart probably chuckles. Billy
man.
goes off to his orphanage, and while Faye is in ICU, Ellie belatedly figures it would be polite to thank Billy. Unfortunately, she forgot to do that while he was there, so they have to go to the orphanage to find Billy and personally thank him for getting him into Beth Israel Church of the Almighty Ethos. Because it's just got a great cutscene drowning recovery rate.
Best doctors for it.
Always.
Best doctors.
Always. And you go to this orphanage, there's tons of orphans running around, all throwing out exposition about UFOs, picking up people, bringing them back, changed in some way. The playground is made of rusty, splintered wood and metal because it was good enough for me when I was a kid. There's probably a garden hose that serves as their drinking water. Full of lead.
By the way, garden hoses, there was nothing good about drinking from
I did
those.
that.
I did it. And so it's not a boomer thing because I remember doing it all the time. And it has this like metallic taste to it.
Yeah, it's like there's lead or shit in there.
And I don't know about you, but our garden hoses sat outside all the time because I was always like,
Yeah,
what crawled the fuck up in here?
Yeah.
You know?
And it's always hot, so the rubber's kind of like melty into it.
Yes,
I mean, the tap wasn't great, but you put some. It's fine. You
I can
boil-
still drink tap water. Like, it doesn't bother
There's
me.
a lot of things you drink as a kid you shouldn't. But anyway, like squirrels, squirts. What Squeeze-Its? Don't drink Squeeze-Its.
Don't
It'll
do
rot
that.
your teeth, and it's not good.
Oh, those little barrels. I have kids now. Those little barrels are fucking gross. They were great when we were kids, but drink one as an adult. I swear to God, it'll turn your stomach.
I mean, I will make an exception for ecto coolers. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Where the hell was I? Because I got distracted on a tangent.
The orphanage, the kids are talking about
yes,
UFOs changing
yes.
people into things.
Thank you. Let's see. Billy says thanks aren't needed. He opened the orphanage because he and his sister did not have parents for a long time. His mom died in front of them when zombies ate them because Jesse was off doing work-related stuff. And he didn't come back for a long time, apparently. So he was essentially an orphan who got better.
Right.
These other kids, though, there's just a lot of orphans. And he's taking care of them. He also mentions that at one point he almost sold himself bodily to get by.
And it's a real gut punch because
Whoa.
it's not something the game like highlights.
Like, Billy's not really an old... He's still a kid.
Canonically 16.
Yeah. Sigurd shows up into the orphanage and says he's yelling about a huge ship coming in. You don't really know what he's talking about. Billy recognizes him as Siggy.
Oh, that's right.
He's seen Sigurd before as a
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
And everyone just and Jesse kind of laughs that the dude has white hair, one eye. He's not really good at hiding his identity.
Right.
Bart is not really putting the pieces together, but
Because he's too busy slamming that back that Bart Wise was giving Faye
That
hell.
was
You
so-
know what I'm saying, brother?
that was a good night. Sigurd says Jesse was his senior when he was at Jugend. Sorry. Juden.
Juden.
Yeah.
Juilliard. When he was at Juilliard.
There's no Juilliard in Solaris. If there was, it's gone. He was at Solaris, and Sigurd was his senior. So everyone in the main party who knows more than they let on was at Solaris at some point.
By the way, we've all been implicated Hyuga at this point, or Citan, but it's still not emphatically stated.
Fortunately, the main character is unconscious, and everyone else is distracted.
And Citan still just pretends like no one has pieced this together
Yeah.
or possibly could. The perfect. He
They-
puts on the Groucho Marx sunglasses.
Hook, line, and sinker. Fire.
Played him like a damn fiddle.
Another person barges in, and he's a very pleasant fellow. He's an anime priest with squinty eyes. He's got his eyes pleasantly So he's about to fight you with rock-type Pokemon,
Right.
or he's evil. Everyone's happy to see him, especially Billy, who kind of sees him as the real dad.
Yeah.
Because Bishop Stone saw some value in him. He kind of raised him. And Stone tells Billy that an Ethos ship has lost contact, but it's still kind of drifting towards land. So it's probably overrun by zombies. So we're now entering a Resident Evil kind of setup here.
Zombies being the Wells.
Yeah, wells, mutants, things like that. Okay. So Sigurd, Jesse, and Seitan are talking about how Ramses used to be really cool, but he couldn't accept that they realized that if you put a conservative Supreme Court in power, you're never going to get the things you claim to want. So maybe working with Solaris makes no fucking sense, Ramses. Ramses, you're going to drain the swamp by taking down the SEC and deregulating everything that's like, I don't understand. Ramses, I know you're cool, you're really charismatic, and you point out that bad things are bad, but then you just make things worse. We're leaving. How dare you? Don't you have any idea? We liked his idea of an ideal nation, but then we realized that everything kind of sucks. In fact, a lot of people did. You'll find them wandering around the earth and shouting exposition. Billy and the party go to that big ship and they fight zombies. And then when you fight the zombies on foot, one of the zombies calls for help from its big bro. A very big bro. A gear-sized bro. So you go off you're on the deck of this ship, and you got a problem. You've got 3 party members, one of which is Billy, who you just got. You have 2 gears and 1 person on foot. That's never happened before. How are you going to rectify this? Well, you cut to the orphanage. A lookout orphan sees a signal from Billy. The nerd orphan in this lookout tower gives coordinates. A bunch of other orphans start relaying orders to other kids on the playground. And the world's best episode of Recess takes place. A bunch of kids start jumping up and down on a seesaw. A giant landing bay opens up, and a blue mech with a gun and a cape rises slowly from the ground and launches itself towards Billy.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And all the kids say, yeah, I give today's launch a 5 out of 10.
Right.
It wasn't that great.
Yeah.
Guys, we got to work on our response time. But the gear makes it to Billy, and now you have 3 gears to fight the big boss. So, okay, that was pretty cool. Not going to lie. Billy's got a pretty good introduction.
Love Billy. Yeah.
He's a great character. Unfortunately, my notes in all caps from this point of the episode on, this marks the beginning of the worst day of Billy's life, which is in direct competition with the time he saw his mom be eaten alive. So, Billy is a bit... There's a lot of bad things happening. So, everyone goes back to Ethos HQ, and everyone is dead. Because, of course, they are. And he is just like, dude, how did this happen? Everyone I know is dead. I was just here. I went on a mission. I came back, and everyone's dead. It's like an RPG is starting.
The
My
orphanage.
personal RPG.
This isn't the orphanage. This is
Not the orphanage. Ethos HQ.
Yeah.
Sorry. He goes back to the Ethos HQ. Everyone's dead. Orphanage is fine.
Yes.
They don't have a gear. They don't need one. Those kids have their shit handled. Fortunately, the party he's with is very capable of sympathizing. Like, Bart's like, hey, look, kid, in the last month, I nearly drowned in quicksand twice. Was involved in a botched coup where I almost got shot up by like 50 dudes, had my base invaded by a Gebler hit squad, and that ship we're just riding on dropped on me on land. And Ellie's like, I had a botched mission resulting in a contributing destruction of a rural village, was nearly eaten by a dinosaur, committed several acts of treason before deserting the military, had a giant bomber ship fall on me, and I had the airship I was riding in blown up by a SAM. Then I got brainwashed, and I'm pretty sure I'm a traitor. You're rolling with the right crowd here, Billy.
Right. So they're bonded by trauma. Another shout out there to Ava.
A wounded priest says someone's been shooting the place up. props for pointing out that mass shootings were going to be a problem.
Oh yeah,
90s.
Oh yeah, very dark.
Yeah.
Very dark.
Japan always ahead of the curve.
But obviously we're looking for a guy with a gun.
Yep. And oh Christ,
Jesse
Dad.
owns a gun.
His shell casings are here. His shell casings, because of course he has.
Did they
a
actually
custom
find the
gun.
shell case? I can't remember. Yeah, okay, yeah.
And so
They,
now this is very good build up for drama. It's very quickly deflated because the speculation about Jesse killing the church that he hates, that his son loves, immediately gets thrown out the window because you catch other priests killing priests. Like a minute later.
Right.
A dying bishop tells Billy that we have, quote unquote, brought God's judgment upon us. A purge is underway. Who purges?
The Dark Brotherhood.
True.
True. It's one of the
People-
storylines we both love most from Elder Scrolls. Yeah.
Yeah. Also
Oblivion.
Solaris. They're not very good at purging. We've seen one purge. It failed.
Yep.
This purge seems to be going all right, though. Yeah.
Firing on all cylinders.
Yep. These purging priests have
These PPs.
these PPs have PMs purging mutants that are working like on a leash, and they're killing all the Ethos people on land. The pontiff, the Pope of Ethos, apparently, is eviscerated by a mutant in front of Billy, and Big Joe is here in a cell. You let him out, and he runs away. So, to keep this going, Billy proceeds through this place he's worked for most of his adult life, which is like a few years.
So these are other Ethos priests.
Ethos priests. Other Ethos priests
are killing
Ethos
yes.
priests.
And Solaris is implicated.
Yeah, because you discover a huge data bank in the basement, which he didn't know was there. Citan says this is Solarian equipment. Data includes combat data from Kislev battle tournaments, the Kislev Ave War, and reports from Bishop Shaken. Shaken is an Ethos.
Dun.
And someone comments that he was supposedly excommunicated before getting a new job with Ave. That's obviously not the case because he's been sending reports very recently, along with test subjects for mutant development because meanwhile, Billy's still trying to process the fact that he's apparently been worshiping Umbrella Corporation.
Right.
Ellie offers a very helpful, short explanation. That's not a good enough breath. 500 years ago, there was a great war that occurred between Solaris and the Land Dwellers. It's not clear what the outcome was, but after the war, Solaris feared another Land Dweller revolt, so Solaris built a gate, or barrier, or wall, that separates Solaris land from the rest of the world's land. The Land Dwellers who lived within this gate were made to dwell as separate races and were thus supervised. To carry out the actual supervision, Solaris established the Ethos. The church is an agent of state power, of course. So the Ethos is actually controlled by the Gazelle Ministry, or Solaris's highest governmental body. So yes, Ethos is really a front, or a subsidiary organization working for Solaris. Excavation findings, goods, natural resources from the surface are transported to Solaris by the Ethos. This also includes human resources, or people used for manual labor, slavery, and mutant development. Basically, this here is the window between the planet's surface and Solaris in the skies above. According to these records, there's been an enormous amount of goods and people transferred to Solaris. End of the short explanation from Ellie. Citan, however, notes that there is something called the 44th Salvage Plan in these records that is an independent project Solaris was not meant to know about. It is, however, Ethos has been attempting to take the secrets of the Zeboim civilization for themselves and declare independence and mastery over the land. Citan says he's not surprised, which should be surprising to everyone in the present. Oh, this happens all the time. This?
You know that old. It's just that old song and dance, brother. You know,
Like,
they
imagine
do this.
you're putting in your 9 to 5, and then like your manager shows up, tells you to take your break in 10. By the way, there's aliens invading. You know,
You're like figures.
figures they do that today.
They know the food truck's got catfish burritos. God damn it!
We just gotta roll with it. Bart tells Billy to get a hold of himself. Sure, his faith is a lie, but whose isn't?
His faith is a lie. Every friend he's ever had is dead. You know what, kid?
Hey,
suck it up.
Suck it up. Jesse shows up and confirms that the assassins are indeed from Solaris, working for Bishop Stone, Billy's mentor and favorite father figure.
Yep.
An interrogation of one of the goons that you've captured leads to yet another short explanation that I have preserved in perfect detail. God, where does such a being exist? You should know by now that the ethos came about. It was an organization created by Solaris eons ago solely for the purpose of managing ignorant humans with low IQs. You'll agree with me.
and you'll agree with me.
Its doctrines are just deceptions designed to control the masses. The ethos used the two sweet fruits of faith and technology well to skillfully manipulate global affairs and people's zeal. Thus, they manipulated the ignorant masses to repeatedly continue their pointless wars. Eventually, the battle data on man and weapons gleaned from these wars were sent to Solaris itself and analyzed to aid in the ruling of the entire world. These intentionally perpetuated wars caused much psychological discord, but faith in God's salvation was used as a cushion to soften the blow. It was a well-thought-out system, but the choice of managers was poor. Or did you think you were acting as part of a faithful servant of God that would someday yield an answer from a great God? Sorry, that took up most of the page. You see, such a divine being just never existed. And you don't seem to realize this, but you yourself were passing judgment on sinners just as we are. Then Bishop Stone shows up and kills this monologuing man for monologuing, giving the game away. That's his job. This is Bishop.
He does it well.
This is Bishop Stone's monologue, which will be the end of the podcast because I can't keep doing this. The status of Bishop is merely a convenience for my activities on the world. The ethos was created as a Solaris sub-organization and given the task of managing Earth dwellers. But over the years, the ethos started to set up convenient doctrines for itself. It then went on to gather the ignorant masses, created a god for them to believe in. Then the ethos went so far as to plot a separation from its creator, Solaris. So Solaris had no choice but to eliminate all who would defy our rule and raise the flag of rebellion. The ones prepared as eliminators were the Etones, the A-toners. The organization I established within the ethos. It had two purposes. The surface aim was to eliminate the Reapers, or Wells, that run rampant on the earth. But that's not their only purpose. Behind the scenes, we also had selected men. These were responsible for observing and eliminating any corrupt people who appeared within the ethos. You didn't have the chance to learn this, since you left the ethos so early. Actually, I just never told you. There was another role I wanted you to perform. Those mutants were really people. So, I think we need a little bit of a break. Billy certainly does.
Billy absolutely does. He's been rode pretty hard. Put up wet.
He's not in a good place right now. I hope you are, wherever you are.
Wherever you are listening, I hope you're in a good place. I hope you're doing better than Billy. I hope you're doing better than Ellie. And
if your faith is a lie, don't feel too bad.
However, just know that your faith, you're probably going to go the rest of your life never knowing it's a lie, even if it is, because there's never going to be a moment where the leadership of this faith is walking around giving monologues.
To your face about how thoroughly you have been pwned.
As much as Richard Dawkins would fucking love that, like as much as he would, dare I say, pray for that.
I want to see Richard Dawkins, like the equivalent of a conservative meme from Richard Dawkins. Like, I want to see the Marine punching a Christian professor. If God is real, if God is not real, God damn it! I
don't know how I'd word it. Yeah, it's a little morbid. But Square Enix, if you do a remake of Xenogears, when it comes time to choose the voice actor for Bishop Stone, please have it in your heart to hire Richard Dawkins. Because not that I like him, the irony would just be mwah.
Imagine like the headlines, the Twitter feeds,
and find a part for Ben Shapiro. Satan.
I don't know. He's around for. Satan's very tall. Satan's very tall. He hangs around with Tall. He's definitely an ethos, though.
Oh, definitely.
He does that thing where he says, I'm actually against Trump. You know who else is actually against Solaris? Ethos. We'll see how well that works. All these mavericks. And we're going to make our own umbrella corporation. Our own assassin hit squads. Our own genocidal zealots. We're gonna do it better. Unlike Ramses, we're gonna build our ideal genocidal nation on Earth. Ooh, baby, don't you know it's where?
Ooh, heaven is a
Gambler is a place on Earth. Okay, we're getting stupid here.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.